Hello viewers, and thank you very much for joining this special program organized by the Guyana National Bureau of Standards. In this program, we'll be talking about measurements, all you need to know about measurements and the Guyana National Bureau of Standards. Hi, I'm Lloyd David. I'm Head of Corporate Communication at the GNBS, and our guest, our special partner in this program today is Mr. Shailendra, and he's the Head of the Legal Metrology Services here at the GNBS. But before we bring Mr. Rai forward to talk about the interview, I just want to talk to you quickly about why really we are here. It is World Metrology Day. Metrology Day is celebrated on May 20 every year. And this year we are observing World Metrology Day under the theme Sustainability, measuring today for a sustainable tomorrow. Now, Mr. Rai, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Well, we're talking about measurements and sustainability and all of that. What is your view in terms of the theme of measuring sustainability?
Okay, Lloyd. In my opinion, measurement sustainability is hinged on three main pillars. And that is having a sound metrology infrastructure, that's the first one. The second one is being able to provide credible metrology calibration and verifications to stakeholders. And the third thing is actually making accurate measurements.
Okay.
Right? Those are the three main pillars, so I'll explain a bit. As it relates to the metrology infrastructure, in Guyana, the Guyana National Bureau of Standards has been continuously developing its metrology infrastructure to be able to provide traceable measurement to stakeholders operating in Guyana. Currently, the Bureau of Standards, we are building a new laboratory facility so we could have labs that meeting specified conditions to perform calibration. We are also moving to acquire additional national measurement standards for different magnitudes, for example, like in the area of temperature, pressure, humidity, and so forth. And we are also moving to have our labs accredited. So far, the Bureau of Standards, we have two areas accredited. We have the mass calibration and balance calibration accredited. But as we widen our scope of calibration, we would be moving to have the other labs accredited to the 17025 quality management system. In addition to that, we are also having our officers trained to perform these calibrations so we could able to provide credible results to our stakeholders. In addition to that, in terms of the provision of credible calibration and verification services, the Bureau of Standards over the years have been developing its capability to perform calibration and verification. And as we speak, we're currently providing calibration services in a number of areas. Just to name a few, we currently provide calibration services for balances, masses, thermometers, pressure gauges, torque wrenches, calipers, micrometers, micropipettes, and so forth.
That's quite amazing.
In addition to that, the Bureau of Standards will provide verification services in a number of areas, and the verification is more the legal aspect because it has to do with measurement and the payment of money for quantities received. So that's why we call it legal metrology.
Yes.
And we are offering a number of services in this area as well. We currently doing the verification of balances, masses, measures, meter rules, petrol pumps, bulk meters, tanker wagons, just to name a few.
Wow.
Right? So these services are available to our stakeholders. So those who are desirous of acquiring these services, they could make contact to the Bureau of Standards, and we would be in a position to provide these services. In addition to that, the making accurate measurements is very important for sustainability because you could have an accurate or a traceable measuring instrument, but if the person who is using the instrument to perform the measurement is not trained or competent to perform that measurement, well then you could have inaccurate results. So for example, instruments used in the medical field. So let's say, for example, we have a doctor who is doing a diagnosis of patients and they're required to take the height and the weight and so forth. If they're not competent to perform those measurements, the possibility exists that they could do an inaccurate diagnosis of that patient.
Yes.
And that could lead to a number of complications. right? So instead of the patient getting better, they could even get worse. So as you could see, measurement plays an important role in sustainability. It also plays a role in terms of ensuring safety and food security as well.
Yeah, very interesting. Measurements are indeed very important. Now, Mr. Rai, I know I would say you've been at the Bureau practically from its inception for a number of years. You've been here over 30 plus years. In terms of, walk us through what it was like then in terms of measurement, what capacity we had then to deliver our measurement services.
Okay, Lloyd. So when I joined the Bureau in March 1995, we practically was doing nothing as it relates to metrology at that time. We only had a few officers and we were primarily focusing on standards development. At that time, we call it back then, the weights and measure activities were carried out by the License Revenue Department because the government see it at that time as more a revenue-based activity. However, in 1997, an order was passed transferring the responsibility from the Ministry of Finance to the Ministry of Trade, giving the Bureau of Standards the direct responsibility for the enforcement of the 1981 Weights and Measure Act. So as a result of that, the Bureau began developing its capacity in terms of employing additional staff, having training conducted for the staff, acquiring equipment and so forth. Of course, when we took over from the License Revenue Department, there were some amount of equipment already in place. So we would have taken over those equipment and we continue to acquire additional equipment as we widen our scope of verification services that we offer.
Oh, very interesting. So we come a long way back and we have come to today. I know you mentioned some of the things that are happening today in your opening statement, but just remind us in terms of the number of staff, capacity, training of the staff and all of that, that infrastructure that we have in place today to meet today's needs.
All right, so first of all, I want to mention that the Bureau of Standards, apart from the head office, we have 9 branch offices. 9 out of the 10 administrative regions, we have branch offices in that provide weights and measure services to the people living in these regions. Right? So that's a big accomplishment.
Definitely.
Initially, when we started, it was actually head office alone. Now we're in the 9 administrative regions, and very shortly, we're going to be in Region 10, which is the last region we're working to establish an office there. As it relates to the services that we offer, as I mentioned, we have the basic areas like scales, masses, measures, but then we also venturing into things like petrol pumps, bulk meters, tanker wagons, storage tanks, speed guns, breathalyzers, and so forth that are used in law enforcement for the police department. So we continue to widen our scope of verification service that we offer. In addition to that, we have some new areas that would be coming on board. If not later this year, early next year, we're looking at things like the song level meters, LPG meters, tint meters, just to name a few.
Yes, indeed. So that's our legal metrology overview there, definitely. But just to mention also that the GNBS has a calibration arm, industrial metrology and testing department, where we offer calibration of similar equipment, scales, masses, and so forth. But most definitely we go into the area of temperature, pressure, and all of those that we offer our calibration services. In terms of sustainability, let's take it to businesses now. How measurement services offered by the GNBS ensures sustainability of a business?
All right, so I would deal with it from both perspectives, from the business and the consumer perspective.
Yeah. So
in terms of the businesses depend on the Bureau of Standards to provide traceable measurements to them. So by having a established national metrology infrastructure in place, the Bureau is able to maintain traceability to international standards. And by the provision or through the provision of calibration and verification services of the instruments used by these companies, the Bureau of Standards is able to ensure that we pass on those traceability to the instrument that are used by these companies. These companies now, they use these instruments in the manufacturing process. So it is important for them to ensure that they have accurate measurements when they're doing the manufacturing process, so they could ensure that they have quality product at the end of the day.
Definitely.
So that's how important it is to have accurate measurement within their operation, right? Also, measurement plays an important role in terms of ensuring safety. Let's take, for example, the airports. The Bureau of Standards, we verify the scales used at the airport. So like the airlines, and so when they traversing, they need there's a certain amount of weight that the aircraft could carry. So the determination of the baggages and even the passenger, the weight of the passenger, and so is very important in terms of ensuring safety.
Okay.
Right? So we play a critical role in that, and also food security and food safety as well is very important when we look at things like pesticides residue and so forth, and even things like preservatives and so that are used in food. Measurement plays an important role in ensuring safety in that regards, and that's why the theme this year is on sustainability, because those things are very important in terms of ensuring sustainability.
Most definitely. But now let's move on quickly in terms of
the consumer. I want to mention, yes, the consumer. We also play an important role in ensuring that measuring instruments used in trade are verified. So in that way, when consumers go to shop, regardless in the market or the supermarket or the local shops, they could be assured that they're receiving accurate quantity of products. Even at the gas station level, we check the petrol pumps to ensure that when persons go to purchase petroleum products like gasoline and so, they get accurate measurement. And similarly, we also do the verification of the tanker wagons and the bulk meters used at the petrol terminals as well. So when the gas station owners go to buy from the petrol terminal, they are assured that they're receiving accurate measurement. So we ensure equity in trade as well, and transparency within trade transactions. And there's also, the Bureau, we also have a mechanism in place where if consumer purchase any product and there's discrepancy as it relates to measurement, they could make a complaint to the Bureau of Standards, and we would investigate and deal with those consumer complaints.
Yeah, so very good information in terms of consumer protection. All right, quickly, you can list these. If you can think of one challenge and one success of your program, metrology program in Guyana, what would those be?
All right, so the one success I would say is the increased awareness and sensitization. Initially, when we started this program in 1997, the Bureau actually used to have to police stakeholders using these instruments to get them on board, to get them to verify their device, to get them to understand the importance of having their device verified, not to rob the consumer or also not to rob themselves, because this is something that a lot of people don't understand. When it comes to metrology, you could be either robbing the consumer or you could be robbing yourself as well, because you could be giving away your product, or you could be cheating the consumer. It could go either way.
And
right?
the challenge.
Right. So one important thing is that we were able to overcome that hurdle, and now persons are actually approaching the Bureau requesting verification. We don't really have to go out there to them. They're actually approaching the Bureau. So that's one plus I would like to highlight. In terms of the challenge, one of the major challenges we have right now is the use of the imperial system. The 1st of January 2001, the metric system became the only legal system of measurement in Guyana. And as a result, as we speak, the metric system is the only legal system of measurement, and persons are required to use that system. But what we find primarily in the retail sector, persons are still going and asking for imperial quantities, and vendors try to facilitate them to get their product sell. They would try to weigh in imperial quantities, and in doing so, they could be robbing the consumer as well. So that's one of the major challenges. And also, we have a situation where persons are using domestic scales in commercial transaction. For example, like the clock scales that you would see on the market, those are domestic scales. They're not designed for commercial trade and should not be used in commercial trade.
Indeed. So I've been speaking with Mr. Rai, who is the head of the Legal Metrology Services Department. I am Lloyd David, I'm the head of corporate communications, and we had this program because it is World Metrology Day, and the focus is on measurement. We had an opportunity to look at how GNBS has progressed over the year, and most definitely we rely on the support and the contribution of our stakeholders in ensuring that we have a reliable measurement system in Guyana. I want to thank you very much for joining this program. Have a good day.